A new report's calling for putting the brakes on incarceration for nonviolent criminals. Researchers from the Brennan Center for Justice say putting more people in prison has little effect currently as a deterrent. Instead, they call for spending more money on programs to break the cycle of repeat offenses.
There are a lot of people who get swept up in the criminal justice system that really don't need to be there. And it has a terrible impact on them as individuals, their families, perhaps their children, and generations to come.
One of the things this report points out is that we have some real problems with what we intended when we passed some legislation, particularly the mandatory penalties, that was supposed to be a deterrent. They haven't been a deterrent. And so what happens is we've been incarcerating great numbers of people on smaller crimes, and that those people don't get any kind of treatment, or the treatment is so limited that it's ineffective when they're inside. So when they come back out, they've got a black mark, an additional black mark on their record, which prevents employment, and we haven't been able to treat their addictive problems.
Clearly, many of the individuals at the low-level drug offenders, who are not dealers but users, clearly many of them do not belong in prison at all and should be treated outside of prison in some kind of setting for recovery or mental illness. If they can be treated in that way, that obviously improves potentially their lives, and at the same time it doesn't place a huge cost, major cost on the system itself.
You have a fair amount of folks that are sent to either a county facility or a state facility that should be in a detox bed or mental health bed, but because of the scarcity of beds in those areas due to budgetary constraints, folks then are sent to jail if they do something wrong. Now here's the situation. It's like putting a Band-Aid on it. We can help these folks and we can help them overcome their addiction, but if there's not a continuum of care once they get out of our facilities and they fall back in with the same crowd, the likelihood that they're going to recidivate is pretty high.
In doing the research for this report, we came across something that's called the criminogenic effect of incarceration. And what that means is that for many low-level nonviolent offenders who find themselves in prison, they're spending time with people who may be more violent or who may be serving longer sentences than they are. And what they're doing is they're becoming more violent, right? It's this idea of prison as school. So sending someone to prison for a longer period of time does not make us safer.